Hello, friends. Thank you for joining us for another exciting episode here at Fort Worth Roots. This episode is sponsored by G.W. District. G.W. District is a place to shop small business and minority-owned businesses. Go to shopgwdistrict.com. I found out that they sell coffee. I drink about 1 to 2 pots of coffee a day. So I said, let me go check this out. I was worried that the website was going to take too long to figure out, maybe. I don't know. I'm kind of short on time. I'm trying to get this recording done, and I got a plane to catch this morning. But I jumped on the website, and I think I was on there for maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes. Super fast, easy to navigate. I went on there, I found the pantry, clicked on pantry, coffee, selected that. Gave me an option for ground or whole bean. I'm lazy. I'm getting the ground. I'm not doing that myself. I don't want a half-finished product. Anyway, moral of the story, really quick, easy to navigate. And when the coffee shows up, I'm going to let you guys know if it's any good. So I have a sneaking suspicion it's going to be great. But I'll tell you if it's no good, you'll know. I promise. Anyway, GW District, if you are the owner of a small business, small or minority-owned business, you need to go check them out at shopgwdistrict.com. The owners of GW District understand how difficult it is to get your product in front of the relevant customers. All the things you need for marketing, you can find them here at shopgwdistrict.com. If you're a new business owner, this is a great place for you to start. Give these guys a chance. Go check them out. And the most important thing that you need to know as a growing business is that this is affordable. This is a tool that you need, and it's affordable. So go check it out. GW District at shopgwdistrict.com. This episode of the podcast is also sponsored by Clean and Clear Lawn and Landscaping. Find all their information at cleanandclearlawnandlandscaping.net. This is your DFW solution for your landscaping needs at home or at the office, so residential or commercial. They specialize in sod, and if you'd like to check out the video that we did with the owner of Clean and Clear Lawn and Landscaping, you can go to our YouTube page. Go to YouTube, type in Fort Worth Roots. It'll pull right up. Steve, the owner of Clean and Clear, talks about this new sod and why it's superior to the other types of sod on the market, and why it would be perfect for your Zone 8 yard here in North Texas. So you're going to want to check this out. If you're in the market for sod, go check out the video. If you're not in the market for sod, don't worry about it. But if you need anything done inside or outside, whether it's retaining walls, French drains, a new fence, give Steven a call, 940-597-9252. He'll be happy to answer any of your questions. Again, that's Clean and Clear Lawn and Landscaping.net for all of your outdoor needs, whether it's home or business. All right, those are the ads. Usually this is the part of the intro where I introduce the guest, but when I sat down with our guest, I did a pretty good job of introducing him on the spot. So we're going to roll right into that. Thank y'all for being here. Let's start the show. Hello, friends. Thank y'all for joining us for another episode of Fort Worth Roots. My guest today is a C.W.2 in the Army Reserves. He's a senior analyst for BNSF in the finance department. He recently started a new company called GW District. You can find them at www.shopgwdistrict.com. What's up, LJ?
What's going on, man? I love that intro.
Yeah, I hope I don't get in trouble for that. Somebody was asking me, they're like, can you use that audio? I was like, it came with the system. They knew what I was going to use it for. It's for podcasters. So... yeah, I mean, I'll use it until somebody says, cut it out.
I mean, if it came with it, I say take it.
It's got to be part of it.
Run with it.
Really, really, really good to see you.
It's great to see you, man. You're looking good.
You
looking healthy.
You are too. I know you're currently in the middle of a physical fitness reboot, but you're looking good, man. I got to see the guys up at the ASF about, I don't know, when was Doc saying? 2 weeks ago now?
Actually, I think it was last Thursday. Oh, no.
No, it wasn't last Thursday.
Yeah, it's probably 2 weeks
ago. But anyway, I got to see all the guys, and, dude, I was kind of choked up like the entire time I was there because I miss it so bad. I miss you. I miss the guys. It was like coming home, and nothing had really changed.
And see, I mean, I go through spurts like that, especially transitioning from a job that requires a trade into corporate America, because there's no love whatsoever. You know, at least there's a little bit of a team building. It's like your brother at the ASF, and you kind of rub each other the wrong way, but you know, you come back together. Or in some cases you don't, but But the corporate world, it's very choked up, and they'll slice you.
Yeah,
they'll shank you.
And keep a box by your desk just in case.
I do. I tell you what, working from home and this whole COVID thing, a couple times my internet has gone down or my VPN, and I'm like, oh my God, am I fired? The Skype's not working.
I can't log in.
This is how they got such and such. They just shut it all down. Oh God. Then it comes back up, and I'm like, oh, okay. Nobody saw that.
I live to fight another day.
Yeah, man. It really is day to day.
So, what got you out of the ASF? Because I feel like I was the first one to leave out of our little group, and then little by little I'd hear, oh, so and so left, and eventually LJ left.
You were the and I'd worked for the ASF almost 10 years. Realistically, I went back to school after I became a warrant officer, and really just worked on self-development. I think you were there for a little bit of that, but finished my bachelor's and then enrolled in my master's, and I was like, what am I doing here? Yeah. Why am I building this education up just to do the same thing that I'm doing?
Right.
So realistically, what drove me away was I felt my career progression had stopped.
Yeah.
And it was tough because this is all I knew. This is like my second real job, and I had this thing for a decade of my life, and it's all I knew. So I was a little nervous, but I knew in order to grow, I had to move on. And I mean, to be honest, and I don't know who will listen to this, I didn't have anything lined up. People call me crazy, but I had enough, and I knew that if I quit and just spend a couple of months to clear my mind and work on something would develop. And I mean, it happened almost as soon as I quit. I got the call from the company I'm at now. So, but I did spend, the onboarding process took, about 2 months. So, spent time doing backyard stuff, the honey-do list. So, but it was great to clear my head. It was like a big burden was let off of me about my career and where I was going in life, So not too many people reboot in the middle of their 30s.
Yeah. Well,
sorry to ramble.
No, that's what this is about. I've got your butt in a seat for the next 3 hours, so you just settle in and get ready to ramble.
All right, that's right. Oh man, I need some coffee.
Well, we can do that. I mean, I brought my supplies. You need some coffee?
I'll grab some here in a minute. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about GW District.
So, throughout my ventures of, trials and failures with entrepreneurship and helping other entrepreneurs, I always had a love or a passion to help small businesses succeed. So, one day I was, I have a lot of different friends that own different businesses and sell products and stuff, and I'm always kind of plugging them, sharing and all that. Mm-hmm. And one day, I was looking around for marketplaces that cater to small and minority businesses, and I really didn't see anything. They have these small business directories. They have, websites where, shop small, you can get to this person's website. But I kind of wanted to consolidate everything into one marketplace and help facilitate the growth of small businesses and brands. So that is my passion, and that is my vision. So I woke up one day and said, I think I want to do this. And I sat down. Actually, I have a whiteboard upstairs, and I have sticky notes, and just kind of developed it out. And I said, I think this, especially with, brick and mortars are shutting down left and right. Businesses are shutting down. There's a lot of small businesses that could use, a lot of people want to start businesses. So you're digging into kind of the directory side of it. You're trying to make it easier for people to find these small businesses. No. So the directory thing is done. My platform is more about put your products there. Think of it as a small business Amazon.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's the best way I can articulate it.
I love that.
A place, and so you might say, well, how do you guarantee that you're getting small businesses because I'm doing the business development.
Right.
I'm going
You're
after. I'm handpicking small businesses. Some of them have websites. Some of them don't. As you know, the website cost overhead, and there are things. So I'm looking for those people as well. Mm-hmm. They have a dynamic product, but they don't want to pay the overhead for their website mm-hmm. and the financial charges and all that stuff. That stuff kind of adds up. So that's kind of where my niche is, and then I'm just focusing on small and minority-owned business, women-owned business, veteran-owned businesses.
Yeah. Well, there's a vacuum for it, man, because I just recently, with all the China stuff, and
right.
I'm like, well, I'll tell you what, I'm over it. I want to buy Texan. I just want to buy Texan-made products. So I kind of made that a thing. Like, mm-hmm. If I can't find Texan, I'll buy U.S. If I can't buy U.S., I'm not going to buy it.
Yeah.
That lasted about a week, and I needed a non-metallic scraper.
Yeah.
I've since been told that I didn't need that, but I bought a cast iron pan, and I didn't want to bang it up. I'm trying to treat this thing right. You know, it's going to be in the family for the next 200 years.
Yeah.
So I got to be gentle with this thing.
I got one that's just about 50 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wanted the right spatula for it. I went to 3 different stores looking for a spatula, and I promise I'm getting to a point here.
No. And I have a question about this.
But I couldn't find any single one product that matched the description I needed that was not made in China. And I'm like, God damn it. Okay. Yeah. Well,
we're fully
you got
reliant.
me, China.
Yeah.
So anyway, but like what you're talking about, so immediately I'm like, well, if there was a place that I could go to and say, you know what, I just want to shop Texan. Okay, here it is. And I did look it up, and maybe there is a service out there or a website where you can find the stuff. I couldn't locate it.
Yeah.
So if it does exist, they're not marketing correctly because I was actively searching for it and could not find it.
Yeah.
So
it is not, I wouldn't say it's an easy feat to set up. I did a lot of, this came into fruition over four weeks, but, from setting up websites for so long and doing different things, I was able to quickly set it up. It was the research part. The platforms don't exist to make this happen. You got to kind of piece things together to make it right. And I'm all about customer service, full 360, ease of use. And so I would research, try a product, and I was like, that's not going to be easy for my sellers. That's not going to be easy for my sellers. And then I found something, and then I have to test it. Yeah. I ran orders through it and things of that nature. Because I want this to be easy for people, not because I want them on my platform, but of course but I want it to be simple enough for someone to list their products and start making a profit. You can list your products for free. The only way that we get paid is if you sell products, similar to Amazon.
Taking a percentage of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And really, I just researched Amazon and tried to compare with theirs and go from there, So the onus is on, and this is my wife and I, so this is a family-owned thing. The onus is on us to really market your products and get them out there.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like it's a losing game for the entrepreneur, the business owner who wants to put their products on there.
Well, you're in the right space at the right time because, like you said, brick and mortar, dude, it's gone.
Yeah.
And especially now with the coronavirus crap, it's like
I saw
can't
GNC.
leave the house. You're not going into GNC.
I thought GNC went bankrupt, and then there was Hertz went out of business, and
rental car place.
Yeah, they bankrupt. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
well, that's just to name a couple of them, but they're all over the place. They're dropping like flies.
I know. Whoever's listening, Hertz is liquidating vehicles. So, go. I know you're like, man, I don't want a rental car, but go get yourself a rental car, and your side hustle is Uber with that rental car, or that you buy from Hertz.
There you go.
Just saying.
And it's okay if it smells like French fries and asshole.
Because it's not. That's just your commuter hoopty.
Those rental cars always have that.
Oh, they
that
do.
Weird funk. It smells like French fries and butt.
And all the mechanics, don't sound quite right. The engine sounds like it's got 100,000 miles on it. It's got 10,000.
It's a rental, baby. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I think we're seeing a drastic change in the world, and especially in the United States, of how we are doing business. I I've used Uber and Grubhub more than ever before, you know, and used to be I'd get the same Uber Eats guy, but now it's like I got Doris in her minivan, and I got, it's like, dang, man.
Yeah. You know? Well, people are struggling right now, and I interviewed a lady, awesome. She's an opera singer. She's a musician. Oh, she has a broad range. Basically, she was telling me, she was like, anybody will let me sing, I'm in. But there's not a job that she won't tackle, and she's been doing
that's great.
Uber Eats and DoorDash and all that stuff. Basically just to make ends meet, because it's bad right now. It's bad for everybody.
I was talking to a guy. He at the beginning of COVID, he lost his job, and he was talking about how I think he read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and he literally was like, look, he started investing and driving Uber and doing every odd job he could to survive. And I think he's trying to develop a podcast and some other stuff. But yeah, it's just inspirational to see, Americans getting after it however they can. Yeah. So
we're certainly an adaptable society. I mean, it's crazy to see the things that have been transpiring since it all took place. I mean, I want to say 2 to 3 days after it all hit, you walk into a convenience store and they got the plexiglass hanging from the ceiling tiles, and things are marked off, signs everywhere. I mean, it was very quick. I mean, and then the markets, everybody's trying to adapt. I mean, you got to adapt or die with every one of these businesses. So you're seeing all sorts of different programs available and different ways of getting their message out. And the companies that aren't able to adapt, they're gone.
And I think some of those companies were so financially strapped anyway that they couldn't afford a blip. So
that's a big part of it.
They're on their way out. But when this whole thing snapped off, my father was in the hospital. He had a he had a thing. I think it's COVID. I don't know, but he had a thing. He couldn't breathe. He was very, very.
When was
distressed. This was like a week before they start shutting everything down.
Okay.
He was in the ER, and then anyway, they come out, and I'm like, hey, don't take Dad out. They're saying old people are real susceptible. You guys are in that high risk category. And my mom's like, I'm like, it's crazy out here. And my mom's like, I survived through the gas shortage of 19 whatever. And I said, Mom, listen.
This different.
This is very different. Very, very different.
Gotta love that tenacity, though.
Yeah. I was like, this is like an economic, we're seeing something that this could change the future forever. And
you're saying this back in February?
Yeah, February, March, yeah. I'm kind of a foresight guy. I could see the dominoes before they...
I was trying, man, but I couldn't.
Yeah,
it was bothering me because I knew I wasn't seeing it.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I could see the dominoes before. And that's my problem when you try to explain that to people. They're like, that's not possible. And then 2 months later, I'm like, I said that. But okay. Yeah. So
I'm remembering a lot of conversations me and you used to have, and you'd get so frustrated trying to explain simple shit to me that I just couldn't grasp.
You know what I learned? Communicate. I'm like, it makes sense in my head, but I'm terrible at communication.
Well, everybody believes that they are a good communicator, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't believe that at all.
Well, you're just smarter than most.
No, I've been married, 14 years. I'm a terrible communicator. So, I would say, so with my mom, I'm like, hey, don't go out. I'll go grocery shopping for you. Mm-hmm. So my mom, she's like, I want, soy vegan egg milk, some kind of crazy thing. And I said, listen, all that shit's gone. Okay. Yeah. It's just milk. Yeah. Or it's just, and she's like, well, so I go to Kroger. Kroger looks like it got hit by some sort of tornado.
Yeah.
And I FaceTime her. And she's like, well, what do they have? So I FaceTime her. I turn the camera around and she goes, oh my God, is that Kroger? And I'm like, yeah, I told you, stuff's crazy out here. And she was like, oh, these people are losing their minds. So anyway.
Well, and it was, milk was hard to find there for a little bit. I think it's okay now.
Yeah.
Eggs, you couldn't find eggs to save your life.
How do you think the gluten-free and vegan folk we're holding up during that.
They're like, to hell with the diet.
Disclaimer: I'm not making fun of them.
How dare you, sir?
I'm not making fun of them. I'm just wondering because their stuff is in such short supply, and I know it went like that.
Well, I'm glad I wasn't on it. I was on a vegan kick. I think I made it like 28 days and some change, but it's a hard lifestyle.
It didn't work for me. I was able to do it, but I felt like I got fatter.
I put weight on too, and I tell people that, and they're like, "What is your problem?"
Yeah, no, it didn't work for me.
Well, the thing is, somebody coined a really funny term the other day. I can't remember it, but anyway, you can be a vegan and not eat healthy. I mean, there's plenty of bad shit out there that's not a meat byproduct, and it's loaded with carbs and calories.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. So, but yeah, I did the same thing, man. I put weight on. I felt like shit. But I need to give it another shot because I was not doing it right, and I know that.
Yeah, I think genetically speaking, I think.
Oh, don't give yourself an easy out.
I know, but I will say, everybody's genetics are a little bit different. So like how they, how their body adapt. It takes a while for your body to adapt to it. So the thing that I found that works for me, and some people hate it, they think it's cult-like, but the keto thing works for me. The keto and fasting and working out it works for me. So that's what I dropped like 2 years ago. I dropped like 30 pounds in 4 or 5 months. Yeah. And but then when I started working, everybody's retiring, so there's cake. Everybody's like, "Hey, we're celebrating such and such today. Get you some tacos." And I was like, "Goodness!" And I'm sitting in this chair all day, and I could feel my pants getting tighter by the minute. My shirt, and what really did it for me is, I take a picture with my wife, or somebody takes a picture, and I was like, "Good God, is that me?"
Yeah, I think that's the tipping point for most men. I saw something the other day. It said like men, whenever they look in the mirror, they believe that they are X amount of pounds lighter, that they are more attractive and all that. Women have a reverse effect in the mirror, but when we see a picture, that's whenever it hits. And I've had that happen to me, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ! Whenever that last deployment that you and I went on together.
Because you were chiseled on that thing.
Well, after Dre got a hold of me, because Dre took a picture of me in our room, and I had no idea. And I looked at that picture, and I just went, shit. I looked like hammered crap, man. I just no muscle tone, all my my gut, my side, my love handles, all of it. Yeah. And
you look great now, though.
Well,
you're doing good.
I'm not in the gym like I should right now. I mean, I'm cutting, but I'm doing like what you're talking about. I'm trying to keep it as keto as possible. Yeah, I'm failing. But the one thing that I can subscribe to and stick with is the
fasting.
The fasting, yeah. And I try not to get too crazy with it. But we were talking about this before we started recording. There's days whenever it's possible to go. Maybe you do a 40-hour fast, maybe you do a 50-hour fast. You can't do that very frequently, but that's a way to knock half a pound off real quick.
Yeah, because your body just goes, especially if you're already in keto, your body just goes in overdrive because your brain, everything that you need to function is just like, gimme. So
that 16-hour mark, I don't know if it's like this for you. Maybe you can tell me if you're experiencing something similar. But whenever I hit that 16-hour mark and my body goes into that, like, oh, that's what we're doing. Yeah. I feel a switch, like mentally. Yeah. I get more energy. I feel like I can think clearer, and it lasts for 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah, that doesn't work for me at all.
No?
That doesn't happen. I just go to sleep because I'm in so much pain.
Really?
Like, please.
See, for me, at the 12-hour mark, that's when my body's like, "Hey, what are you doing? Where's the carbs? I need some food. Cheese, meat, now."
My wife is like, "Well, you just drink some water," and I'm like, "Oh no, baby, this ain't working."
Okay, so what are the hour marks for you? Do you have?
So that's just on my 24, but I run for a long time I was running about 15 hours, and then I think it was last week or the week before I started going 18, and now my goal is to eat once a day in a 24-hour period.
Yeah.
Which feels easier to me to do than when I first started. But some days I do feel like shit, So some days I'm going to have a little sugar with, something. I'm gonna drink orange juice or something like that. But for the most part, I'm focused.
Do you have a thing that you just cannot stay away from if it's in the house?
Any kind of juice.
That's so far from what I've. Mine is Rocky Road, Bluebell Rocky Road.
Yeah.
I am convinced that if this isn't all just a product of evolution and chance, that the Creator put us on this planet to develop Rocky Road ice cream.
I'm telling you,
I love it so much, man. If it's in the house, I'm screwed. I can go through half a gallon in 2 days.
All right, so here's the thing, right? I do have a few things that are like that. Juice is just the easiest. It's the perfect 2:00 drink, 2:00 in the morning drink. But we have friends over or something like that, and they'll bring snacks and goodies, and I'll go, this food has to be consumed,
or you take it with you.
That, or if it's in my house, I'm like, it's got to be consumed. It's my civic. There are people starving. It's my civic responsibility, and so I will go through a few days of it's got to be done. Just because I got to get it out of here some kind of way
for America.
I can't just throw it away. That's rude. So yeah, but I will say chips and salsa is probably another one.
Shit,
it's so hard.
Yeah,
hard.
My family comes from Midland, Texas, far west Texas.
Yep.
And you go much further, you're in El Paso, but Tex-Mex is, it is the food.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much Texas wide.
Queso.
Oh yeah. But man, I gotta have Tex-Mex once a week. I got to. And the chips and salsa before the food even gets near the table, I'm up 1,000 calories. I gotta have it.
Yeah. But you know what you could do, and what I do is when I have a splurge, I say, okay, what comes next? The fast.
Right.
So
yeah.
So you splurge now, but you're gonna be 24 hours. You're gonna
and I see it coming too. So I'll usually do like a 16-hour fast before I do something like that.
Yeah, smart.
And then same thing.
Because that food that you're splurging on isn't readily available, so your body is still pulling that fat. So
yeah.
But
it's a process, man.
we were having a debate with someone about he brought up Tex-Mex. And I feel like Tex-Mex and Cali-Mex is a thing. Like,
is Cali-Mex different?
Oh, it's so much different. And I think it's so much better than Tex-Mex. It's a thing. But here's the thing. I grew up in California. So our form of Mexican food is so different.
So you haven't... Okay. So 2 friends of mine, for the listeners, moved from California to Texas. And I think probably in the same week, if not the same day. LJ, that's sitting with me here today, and Sam Iwasaki. Yeah. Did y'all? It was almost the same week. Y'all moved
I think he moved before.
It was pretty close,
right around Thanksgiving, and I moved right after Christmas.
Okay, so I'm off by a month or 2, but anyway, they moved here from California. LJ, it seems like after your statement just now, you're still hanging on to those California roots. Saki got a tattoo of Texas on him, and he changed his signature to include the silhouette, the border of Texas in his signature so that everything he signs.
Yeah. I don't,
He went full Texan, man.
I like.
What's the holdup?
I like Texas for numerous reasons. And don't take this the wrong way, but I'm not that far. Can't go. I can't go full.
Can't go full Texas.
So, but I'm a Cali kid. That's where I grew up, and the difference between I guess me and Sam is he always wanted to be in Texas. Yeah. For me, it was more of a lifestyle thing. I wanted a better life and opportunity for my family, which is why I live in suburbia with the traffic, the Targets, the Costco's.
Listen, I got to pick a bone with you.
That was roundabouts.
No, to hell with the roundabouts. But as far as like established cities go in the United States, there was only one road in the entire United States, I think, that is as bad as the one in front of your subdivision, and it's Bonds Ranch.
Bonds Ranch.
And between Saginaw, Maine, and 287. Yeah. The devil made that road. The city planner was on vacation or something.
Perhaps, but it was like they put the cart before the horse on it. They were let's develop let's develop 1,000 homes right here
with one road to enter and exit on,
and a railroad track, and let's expand the railroad track and put 2 tracks there, and then let's throw a QT, a roundabout. Roundabouts are un-American. 2 roundabouts. Then they had a stop sign there that didn't work. They had red lights there and it didn't work. And then they put the roundabouts down, and about a year later, they ripped the roundabout back out and put a bigger roundabout, and then another one. And I was like, hey, what about us over here on Bonds Ranch who can't even get out of our...
Good luck.
Yeah.
I wonder, has that affected property value? Because that has gotten worse and worse and worse and worse.
As you pulled up, you could probably see there were 3 houses for sale, and all 3 sold within a week.
Yeah.
People...
I wonder if the district. Maybe the realtor just like, whoa, has another means of getting them to the neighborhood so they don't see it.
Maybe. There is a back way now.
I should not be talking this much mess on your home, but I have had to deal with that road, as you know, for years, and it drives me nuts.
I hate it. I hate it. You know, you go out there, it's like Mad Max trying to merge and get into the, you know, but our neighborhood right now is focused on something much more important: Spectrum, internet, and their faulty infrastructure.
Tell me more, sir.
Oh man, there's a war between like AT&T and Spectrum here.
Okay.
And yeah, I bounce between both services, but lately, you know, Spectrum has been the topic on the Facebook page, and it is like a mutiny is mounting to the point where, I throw in my little 2 cents. I troll too much, but I said, maybe we should sign a petition.
Why would you do this?
Oh, man, that thing caught fire. I love it. It was great. Can we get someone else in here? Because capitalism is what's going to drive better products here in this neighborhood. It's competition. That's what it should be. And everybody's like, yeah.
Some people just want to watch the world burn, Master Bruce. That's evil.
I just want better internet. But, so.
Crazy that I'm surprised at, one, internet connectivity, kind of like what you're talking about, anything that comes on a wire, and then cell phone signal. I mean, here we are, 2020, in DFW, and we're having trouble with these basic systems.
It's because the Texas economy and the infrastructure is like, hey, come on down.
I get it.
But we're not going to invest in our city infrastructure. We just want businesses to come.
I fully understand what you're talking about. I get it. I just don't accept it, and it makes me upset.
I don't. It makes me. I'm right there with you. I'm like, look, because they were trying to build down Bonds. They were trying to build apartment complexes.
Jesus.
They went to the council with like pitchforks. Like, you better fix that road.
They can't put anything else on this road. It's real simple too, and I don't know what the problem is or why they can't get this done. One reason they can't get it done is because if they shut this road down for an hour, everybody would lose their minds. But all they need to do is expand that road.
They do.
Put 2 more lanes on.
I've heard that between the county, the DPS, DPW, it's like there's like 3 entities that own 3 different parts of the roads and the different sides. God. And so it's a squabble about who should pay for what. So there's that. And because for the longest time, I thought it was just like some, bird or ant farm that we could just plow through.
Like we normally you're thinking like a Californian right there.
I'm like, is there
it could be the last one of a certain kind of animal, and here in Texas, we would just pave right over its head. Know.
That's why I was like, what's going on? Is there a penguin? What is going on? Is it the last known summer penguin? It's like, come on. But yeah, no, it's all the politics and red tape, and that's what I've been told.
Well, they sure put those. I mean, the rate at which they changed the traffic control systems at those 2 intersections that you're talking about was amazing. Stop sign 1 week, traffic light the next, roundabouts coming 2 weeks later. I mean, it was. And
I'm thinking about the money. I'm like, man, how much money are we spending? And this contractor is making good money.
Oh, you think it's the same one?
It's probably not.
Yeah, you're right. It's the same contractor, and he's screwing the whole thing up. But it's not even about that intersection.
Yeah.
The problem is you could do whatever you wanted to with that intersection, but it's still only 2 lanes, about 100,000 residents, and now a GD/QT down the street. Yeah. I can't believe they put that there.
Yeah. I mean, the best thing about that QT is, midnight runs for those. What are those little dog?
Starving alcoholics?
Yeah. those little dog things, those little buffalo chicken things. Those are great.
No.
Yeah.
No, LJ.
Well, that's how you blow up. I don't do it anymore.
Do you ever get the little 3-meat slice of pizza?
Yeah. Oh yeah, man.
I didn't prepare today. I didn't make breakfast or lunch, so F it. I'm gonna grab this real quick.
Oh.
Yeah, I made that choice quite a few times over the past 5 years. Yeah, it's not.
It adds up, man.
I tell you what, I was really surprised by. I walked in there a minute ago to get my customary energy drink.
Mm-hmm.
Usually have one of these when I'm doing these podcasts, but I walked in there and I've got my mask because I'm a good citizen. I fought it for a really long time because I'm like, the mask is stupid. It doesn't do anything.
Wear your mask, y'all.
You're an idiot. Don't tell me that this is going to do shit because it won't. Yeah. Right? I understand how things work. I'm a genius.
Right.
So I stuck to my guns on that for a while, and then the mayor of Fort Worth was like, "Please start wearing your mask." Right. I'm like, "All right, I really like Betsy Price.
Yeah,
I'm gonna start wearing my mask.
Yeah,
no problem." And then I was further validated when Greg Abbott came down. I was like, "Wear your damn mask." Now it's a thing, right? And so then the city was like, "Okay, we were asking, now we're telling you."
Yeah.
So I walk into QT, and they've got the signs on the door. It says mask required. And I'm like, "Cool, all right." Walk in, got my mask on. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say this because I don't want to get in trouble, but QT employees are in there, no mask.
That's strange. I've been in there. They usually have masks on.
Yeah. Maybe it was just like
there was a guy.
A one-off.
Perhaps. I went in there the other day, and my wife's got masks in the car. So
yeah.
I haven't been an advocate for the mask. I'm going to be honest with you, because I have like one of those logic things where I'm like, if everybody's wearing a mask, then I'm safe. So
I don't need to.
So what do I need? Anyway,
you are the problem.
I
know.
I am. I'm sorry, y'all. So I get out the car and I turn and there's a sheriff there, and I was like,
was he wearing a mask?
I couldn't tell. He was in his car with his Lokes on,
Yeah.
So I'm like. I tell my son, he's with me, and I go, just grab me a mask. Let me put this thing on, man. Let me go in here.
Oh, I was hoping you were going to say you got guilted into it, but you had the fear of reprisal. That's what the issue was.
I was nervous. They're going to be out here citing people and fining people, and I don't.
Well, apparently it's a pretty hefty fine too.
Yeah, I don't want that.
Unbelievable.
I can't afford it at this point in my life.
What? How much is it?
I think it starts at like $200, but then the next one is like, there is no. It jumps to like 700, or maybe I read that wrong or something like that. But
you don't want it.
Nah, I don't. Nah, I wear the mask, breathe in that hot air. But
I'm not excited about it, and honestly, I still don't think it. Whoa, what's going on? Yeah. Okay, we're back. I don't think that the mask really does anything, but I'm not a scientist or a biologist or anybody that's qualified to make that decision. So if the mayor of the city that I love and respect is telling us to wear those masks, I'm just going to go ahead and do it. I don't have to like it, but now I'm one of the other people. Right. Whereas before I was like, I'm not wearing a mask because I don't have to, and it doesn't make sense. Right. Now I'm wearing the mask and I'm walking into places and I'm seeing people not wearing. I'm like, hey motherfucker, what's your problem? What are you doing? Why don't you have a mask on?
That's probably how people are looking at me.
Oh, for sure, 100%. Because the change for me was immediate. As soon as I put the mask on, now I'm a hero. You know?
I'm mildly annoyed by it.
Oh, I'm extremely annoyed by it.
Maya and I went to. I took her to the nail salon, and they were like, "Got to be masked to be up in here."
Sure.
And then in the same token, they go, "Drink, sir? Beer?
Sure. Get me a really small straw."
Yeah. So I'm and people probably can't see it, but I have my mask on.
Oh, they can see you.
Oh,
they just got to go to YouTube.
Yeah, so I have my mask on, and I flip my mask up to take swigs of my beer, and I said, "This is not the way a man should have to drink a beer is with this. So then the mask transitions from my face all the way to the top of my head, and I'm just drinking beer and looking around, just, frustrated. My wife is hysterically laughing at me. She's like, "You're crazy." And I'm like, I'm not going to do this up swig thing. I can't drink a beer like that. I'm upset, So, yeah, I mean, and she's big on wear the mask, take the supplements and all that. And I'm like, honey, I've been overseas.
Yeah.
There's worse stuff over there.
I'm with you. I think you and I are probably immune for a few different reasons. You know, we got inoculated against everything, hypothetical and not. I mean, we were, you know, if there's a vaccine out there, we got it.
Yeah.
And not only that, but we've breathed in some pretty wicked, probably bacteria and viruses that, we've got superhuman blood running through our veins.
Yeah.
I really would be interested. Surely somebody's going to do this experiment or just kind of pull a data set from a group of veterans that have deployed within the last 5 to 10 years and see how they were affected by coronavirus, because I'm betting there's going to be a huge man, it's probably going to be massive. All the crap we were exposed to.
That anthrax is like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Get out of here, bitch.
Who are you? I'm sorry, you're not on the list.
You're new here. You're bottom of the food chain there, sir.
I don't see anything outside of Ebola affecting us.
Yeah, I mean,
but that's my ignorance. Like I said, not a scientist, not a biologist.
That's true. And when I'm just thinking, man, I literally walked around in sandstorms with sand fleas and biting me, and the whole threat of MERS and everything else. And I'm like, no, forget you, COVID.
Yeah,
no. I mean, I don't want to be, disingenuous, but I will comply, and I will do. I wore my mask yesterday at Home Depot. Need to pick up some things. Made my kid wear the mask. I will comply. But yeah, I think, for Abbott, Governor Abbott, I think he moved it too quickly, and I think you have to find a balance between the economy and public.
Man, he had
health.
to do something though.
Right. And so, like, when he was opening, I was like, great, he's got a great progressive open.
Sure.
However, I think I'm not anybody, I'm not a politician or anything, but I think I would have said, hey, 25% for a couple of months.
Yeah.
And 50% for a couple of months. It was like every week it was phased, 25, 50, 75. And I was like, whoa. I think that 50 should be 6 weeks down the road. And I know businesses are struggling, but this is the best that we can do to keep balance between public health and the economy. I get it.
I think the real problem is that, one, we didn't have the people pulling the trigger, the ones making the decisions, writing things into law and policy. They didn't have any more information than you and I sitting here.
That's true.
Right? So they're trying to do what is best for the community based off of nothing.
Right.
They're getting misinformation. They're getting good information and bad. And they're just trying to do what they can. So we got to cut them some slack on that.
Oh, definitely.
Can we do this shit better next time? Oh, yeah. We need to have a set policy for this, which we should have had beforehand.
We might have, but it might have been like one of those things where it flew out the window because this thing kind of defied, I feel like the CDC had an idea of what it could be, but I don't know if everybody took it as seriously, policy-wise. Yeah. Like, it's been 100 years since the Spanish flu or whenever, and we're so far advanced in science that I think we became cocky as a society and as a world. Because with COVID, right, when it started in China, I saw it all. I was reading the news, and I was like, man, I wonder how many flights to China we have.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, as it started to develop, and I had that little tracker map, Johns Hopkins tracker map, I was like, this is January, mind you. I'm like, oh, it's been here. Yeah. It's probably been here since last year.
I think you're right. I think you're right on that.
And
I think a lot of people would agree with that.
Yeah, because this thing hides very well, and it can be asymptomatic. We're learning that it can be asymptomatic and everything. It just depends on how your body reacts, your immune system reacts to it. And so I was like, man, this thing has been here. And so as the tracker started to pop up, I realized something, that we didn't have adequate testing. And so a lot more people had it than maybe they thought they had the flu.
Yeah.
But a lot more people had it than they even let on. Yeah. And we were actually way further down the road than we knew. So again, this is one of those, foreshadowing things that I thought. And I told a couple of people, and they're like, "Nah, I just got here." And I was like, I don't think so.
Well, the rate at which it expanded and affected even smaller cities, I mean, it's crazy how fast it spread. So I think that there's a lot of validity to what you're saying, because, I mean, just at the speed at which it spread. Yeah. And it would be easy to say, okay, well, let's look at the data that we have.
Right.
When did we discover that people were starting to get infected?
When we started testing.
But
we didn't have test kits, and we didn't have a lot of test kits. So yeah.
So as we started to increase the testing facilities, as we started to improve our testing procedures, the case numbers went through the roof.
Right.
And is that because the infection was spreading that quickly, or is it because we're testing? I think anybody that's, going to sit here and take all bias out and just use their head is going to realize that there's a possibility that it was because of the rollout of better testing and more testing facilities. I mean, it's a possibility. It's something to consider.
Yeah, definitely something that I considered. And as they started testing, I started seeing the numbers. I was like, okay. And then I was like, I wonder if they can tell if you had it prior. And then I started thinking, man, so many people probably thought they had the flu back in, I want to say, for instance, last October, I had a fever, terrible cough, everything. And I was like, oh, because I don't get the flu like that.
Right.
So when I got sick, I was like, oh, it must be my 3-year anniversary of catching the flu or something. So, but even I started thinking back, man, I felt terrible.
A lot of people are saying that.
And, but I was out at Papados being irresponsible. But it so happened that it happened when I had 3 friends come in town.
Sure.
So I was like, not about to have these guys waste their money to come see me.
Right.
Just to be up in the bed sick. And so, sorry, people. And I sanitized my hands many times. But, yeah, I think you're right with the testing. And man, there was another point I was going to make about that. But I just, at this point, I thought I heard that Houston was skyrocketing recently.
Everybody is. I mean, Dallas and Fort Worth have had the highest numbers since all this started just recently. And that's why the masks are going back on. And Abbott rolled everything back to 50% in restaurants. And I mean, yeah. So
and I've heard that businesses are not, certain businesses are just saying, don't ever come back and just work from home. Some businesses are saying January 2021. I know personally our business they have tried to put together a plan and strategy, and it's like we get set on a date, and the government or something happens and things change, and we got to push that date back. But I just unfortunately think, I was telling someone yesterday or the day before, I said, this is a 2-year to 3-year process. Mm-hmm. And as Americans, we want to get back to normal.
Right.
And we need to accept the fact that we can't just do that.
Yeah.
And
well, even the people that are being the most conservative about this whole thing, they're getting tired of it too. Yeah. I mean, the people that were stay at home, social distancing, wear your mask, they're fed up too. Everybody's starting to lose kind of that composure that was there 2 months ago when everybody was all on board, trying to do the right thing. And now the traffic is right back to where it was.
I know. The day after, I was like, goodness gracious. And I think as Americans, we're that hyperactive kid that
we've been trained to be like that.
And it's sit still, and they can't. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, that's what we need to do.
Well, think about it. I mean, through the advertising machine and the free market, there's something every weekend to do. There's always something, some sale, some holiday, there's always something.
Yeah.
And that's all been taken away. So now people are at home. Domestic violence has gone up. I mean, divorce rates through the roof.
Yeah, I bet.
People aren't used to this. We can't.
Now, me personally, I'm a bit of a homebody, so
Oh, yeah.
There was really no change for me.
No problem for me either.
Although I got to be around my family more, spend time. We got to, my wife, she typically would work out at the gym. That's done. So now we're working out together in the garage.
Right.
So there's been some bonds forged that are better for us. And that's what I guess, hunt the good.
Yeah.
As they say.
Well, whenever they closed down the schools and people started working from home, I want to say this is like week 2, week 3, when all this stuff started rolling out, I started noticing kids outside, walking, riding bicycles.
Yeah.
You did not see that before.
Yeah.
And it's not just that they were out of school. I mean, the parents didn't have nothing to do with them.
Yeah.
So they were just, now when I say that, I don't mean that they didn't want to have anything to do with their children. I mean, they didn't have anywhere to go with them. So there was activities happening in front yards. I saw kids outside in their driveways with sidewalk chalk.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of that.
I mean,
we played basketball pretty much every day. You probably passed the court on the way in.
Yeah.
I mean, we just go out there and play basketball as a family. And it kind of sucked because, the neighbors' kids come over and be like, whoa.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sure.
I don't mean to be this way. I want to play basketball with you, but let's just keep our...
Unless you can play basketball by not touching the ball and staying 6 feet away, I'm out. Yeah.
And it wasn't that I was like worried about getting it. It's just, I just am trying to abide by the rules. And some people will hear this and judge and be like, you're not a rebel.
No, I'll give you a really good example. Morgan, she went through all that chemo and everything recently. So her immune system is still affected by all that. Like, it takes years to get over something like that. Well, she went over to, so everybody's trying to teach their kids from home. Mm-hmm. So a family member wanted to, now, before I tell this story, turns out I had the details screwed up, and it was not what it seemed like. So anyway, so they needed somebody to tutor the kids. So Morgan, she's a educator. Mm-hmm. They hit her up. She's like, sure, I'll come tutor your kids. No problem. They're family anyway. So, so she goes. She makes a trip across town. She's teaching these kids, and this goes on, I think, 2 days in a row. And somewhere in the middle of this, she finds out that the kids that she's teaching have been playing with the kids across the street. Oh. Okay? Yeah. No big deal, except the mother is a nurse at a hospital in the coronavirus wing.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, every alarm goes off. I go from a 0 to 100. I'm lit. I'm super upset. Yeah. I'm like, you're not going back over there. Not that I get to make that call, but I'm, I'm like, no way. Anyway, we found out later that wasn't 100% the case. Like, they were playing outside, but like her kids were on this side of the street. Yeah. Those kids stayed over there, and I'd blown it out of proportion. Everybody blew it out of proportion because the way it was written through a text message or something like that, the kids are outside playing with, whatever kids, and they need something to do because their mother's under quarantine, so they're not allowed to go anywhere. It's like, hold on a minute.
Some sort of social interaction.
Gotta have it.
My older kids, they manage because they're in a stage of their life where they're kind of doing their own thing, moving into that realm.
How old are your kids now?
I have a 13 going to be 14, and then I've got a 11 going to be 12.
Okay.
They're just developing into their own, who they're going to be.
Right.
Yeah, now I have a younger one. He's 7. He's more of a social interaction kid. Right. So this is tough for him. And so we set up, the Zoom phone calls. We let them typically, I limit the video games, but I'm like, hey, man, I get it. But we try to keep a balance between going outside, riding bikes, doing different stuff, just to keep them, their minds going. But I firmly believe this is a 2 or 3 year thing. The school that they go to just released a 16-point plan. I don't know. I'm exaggerating, but it's like, would you rather have A, B, C, D, E? And of course, all the parents are on there like, well, I want B and F, and the other parents are like, I want A, and it's like, I'm not used to that type of leadership. Like, I understand good parental feedback, but at the end of the day,
somebody's going to have to make a decision.
Because as these schools got out with the whole COVID thing, they were just like, they had no plan, like you said. And I didn't fault them or anything like that, but like they came up with a plan, and the parents, I firmly believe parents ruin everything, because it was like they were calling the superintendent.
Yeah.
And I don't like this, I don't like that. And they're blowing up. And it's like, what about the educators who have families, who now have to educate their own kids, who now have to worry about their own safety, and somehow take a in-seat curriculum and put it into an online format?
I think most parents have the emotional maturity to see it the way that you're talking about. I think that by far and wide, 99.9% of parents, just like what you're talking about. But the loudest voices out there right now are the people that just can't, they're not going to have their life disrupted, and I don't care what happens to the educator,
I just thought
you got a group of people out there, and they're going to be the loudest ones.
I just think that's probably the most selfish thing ever, because I love my kids' teachers, and I was like, I'm bearing with them. I'm even sending them text messages. You're doing a great job. Thank you so much.
That's awesome.
Because it's like, until you're an educator, you don't even, and I've never been an educator, but I can only imagine, most parents can't sit with their kids for 10 minutes. So,
which they're finding out.
somebody sits with your kid all day and tries to teach them, and then you pass them off to like a video game or whatever when they come home. And so I'm sitting there like, man, and then the fact that they've got to make sure their kids are focused. So, I'm very appreciative of teachers during this time.
For sure.
And I'm very frustrated with parents who are, at least in this situation, like you said, the loudest voice in the room, calling. Because, some parents transition to work from home, and if they had smaller kids, who's going to sit with the 6-year-old if we both got to work? So one person, so the school, long story short, they said, okay, we got too much screen time and stuff, so we're going to pull back on that, and they'll just complete like more packets, but there will be interaction on like Wednesdays or something. A lady lost her mind. You guys are compromising my child's education. And I was like, lady, look around. You know what I mean? And as a parent, it's also your responsibility to teach your kids.
For sure.
Like, it's not just, you just don't want to rely on the school system. Teach your kids, open the school books. You know what I mean? So
we all want it to go back to normal. We all want the kids to be able to sit safely in those classrooms and be taught the way that they have been all the years before. But we also have to take into account that there has been I'm not trying to minimize 9/11, but this might be more impactful than even 9/11. It's destroyed
I think
our
from
economy.
An economical standpoint, yes.
And not only that, the lives that have been affected by this it's everybody. 9/11, if you had a loved one in that building, your world was destroyed. Okay, but
or first responders, or
any of that.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to make not light of 9/11. That was awful. But this is also something that's never going to be forgotten.
Yeah, it's worldwide.
And it's affecting every single person. And it's not just here in the U.S. It's worldwide. Yeah. It's very far-reaching. Yeah. So, I get it, man. There's some people that are not capable of adapting,
Yeah, and I would say
they're going to be hurt.
My stint in the Army has taught me to be adaptive in nature. Adapting over
in every way.
Move forward, and I try to preach that to my kids and my family. I'm like, hey, this is the situation. Now we must do it.
Yeah. Real quick, for anybody listening to this, LJ is not trying to be braggadocious and saying that by some type of military, tactical, gunfighter kind of way that he's adaptable. What he's talking about is living in a room with 4 other people. You got, no room. There's a lot of different situations. I'm not going to hyper focus on one, but adaptable in the sense that shit is never going the way it was planned, and you are going to have to change the way you're living constantly, almost daily.
Your life, your work schedule,
whether it's deployment, training mission, just regular operations at the unit. I mean, it's always changing. So he wasn't making that statement to be braggadocious. I mean, you and I get it. I knew exactly what you meant, but I didn't want somebody to be like, "Oh, this guy thinks he's so tough."
No, I don't. But and you can't run away. That's the thing.
There's nowhere to go. They own you.
You know, so you're overseas and you're just, you're waking up, going to work. At least work over here. If you don't like somebody, you can steer clear. No, I got to work with that guy on that thing. So you just learn to deal with that. So now everybody needs to join the Army. That's what I'm saying. Go from high school straight to the Army.
This is totally off subject, but so like the TMC, the Troop Medical Center.
Yeah.
What is that? What it's called?
I think it's Troop Medical Clinic or something.
Yeah, something like that. Well, anyway, whenever people started talking about government controlled healthcare, I immediately compared that to the TMC. I'm like, I've seen this.
Or the VA.
I know, or the VA. Yeah. So anyway, I feel like we did gain some very obscure understandings of different things that seem to pop up intermittently in life, that being in the military gave us an unforeseen insight into.
Telling you. Oh, you mean I can't leave my house and okay.
And the veterans are sitting back in their lazy boy going, ha 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 ha.
And I got internet this time at least, so it's like, and I've got all my content, I've got my Netflix, I've got my documentary.
You mean Amazon will just deliver shit to my door?
I like it.
We're good here.
Yeah. And so for me, it was like, what's the next season of whatever coming out?
Yeah.
But for some people, it is crazy. But, I have meetings at work, and it's funny. I can just hear kids in the background, and it cracks me up because you'll hear coworkers like, they forget to mute, and they're like, listen, sit down. Don't put, is that yours? This is during a meeting. Is that yours? All I'm asking for is about 5 minutes. That's what I'm asking for. These are things that I'm grabbing. Put that down. Or, when lady.
Are all these recorded?
I wish they were, man. And then one time a cat jumped on somebody and they were like, ow, all over the, it was like 10 people on the phone call. Like, what? Is everything okay?
All this pain, and I'm being ridiculous here, but all this pain and suffering might be worth all the ridiculous videos that are going to come out of this, because I've heard so many crazy stories about Zoom meetings and comparative programs where people are same thing, unintentional comedy.
I was on we had a last minute, no, it wasn't a last minute meeting, but it was planned. But, typically we get on the phone and we don't put a video on, So we get on, and this particular video, they're like, go ahead and turn your cameras on, guys, And so I run downstairs, and I grab a polo shirt, throw it on. I'm brushing. I have a beard out to here.
With Cheetos sticking out of it.
Yeah, syrup. So I run upstairs. I turn my camera on. I'm like, okay. I look halfway decent. All right. And then my compadre turns it on, and oh my God, I lost it when he turned his camera on. First off, his hair was just out, and he had the bigged Fu Manchu. His hair was all crazy, and then in the
How long had it been since y'all'd seen each other?
Probably 3 months. And he had what made it all. I'll show you this picture. I'll find it.
If you'll share it with me, I'll put it up on this video.
Man, I can't because it's a coworker. But
okay,
but I'll show it to you so you can. But what topped it? He had a giant Smurf on the wall in the background. What's going on? So here he is, hair all flared out, just everything everywhere, and he's grinning from ear to ear, and he's like, "Hey." Yeah, I wasn't prepared. I didn't have any hair products.
just owning it.
Yeah, and I love this guy, man. He is so funny.
You know that had to go through his mind too. Like, okay, here are my options.
Here we go.
And one of the options was own it, and that's what he went with.
Own it with the Smurf in the background.
Was he in the kids' room or is that his office?
He doesn't have kids.
So he can't blame it on children.
It was a 5-foot Smurf. It was huge.
Oh, it's not like a poster.
No. It was a fat head, like one of those fat head things.
Oh, okay.
And man, he popped on, and I tried everything to keep my composure.
No, you didn't.
I was like,
I
was like, oh. So I said, I'm getting a picture. I can't do this. I have to get a picture. So.
Well, I'm not even seeing it. You got me laughing harder than I have all day. So
I'm telling you, and I called the guy after, and he was like, "Well, they said turn it on."
Yeah. So
I said, "Goodness gracious, man, what have you been doing these last few months?" Like, I can't judge, but my gosh,
Well, he doesn't have a kid, so he doesn't have commitments to run out of the house. He works from home.
Yeah.
This is what happens, man.
Yeah.
And people, you're hearing people talk about it already, but the COVID weight that people are putting on, dude, you can't go anywhere. You can't even go to your gym.
Yeah.
And
but I mean, and did you know? And I heard this. There was a worldwide weight shortage.
Weight shortage?
Yeah. So okay. So when this whole thing popped off, my wife loves to.
On dumbbells and plates and things like yeah.
So she loves to work out.
Okay.
So I'm like, we've got to invest in a home gym.
How far into this were we?
Oh, gosh, probably like 2 months.
Okay, yeah, you're
done.
screwed.
Yeah. So we go. She goes out, and I go out and start getting this stuff, and we're gonna make our own home gym. And she's like, "There is no way. It's everything. The only thing left,
even online.
The only thing left is a 2.5 pink weight.
We've got some. Yeah, I know. We walked into Walmart. It was the same thing, man. But then a buddy of mine, he was setting up a gym at the house because they closed down the gym. And this dude is just, jacked.
Yeah.
He looks like an action figure.
How are those guys surviving right now?
They're in their bench pressing their dining room table, I guess. I don't know. But, so anyway, he was going through that problem too. And he was trying to get something real basic.
Yeah.
And he couldn't. And so he had to find what he needed by combining like things from different places. He had to get innovative. He couldn't just, well, I guess that's it. Everything I've been working on my entire life, I'm just going to have to let it go.
Yeah.
You're going to see some real sad individuals too, because whenever you have that much muscle and you just let it go, dude.
What can you do?
No bueno.
For me, I started this. I said, okay, we're not gonna have weights. So we did get some medicine balls. That was great.
Yeah, you can do a lot with that.
And we have
kettlebells.
We couldn't find those.
Yeah.
And then we got a bench. We got pull-up bars. And literally, man, you can achieve a lot by doing body weight. Mm-hmm. And I ride my bike. My wife runs, and man, it works. I feel myself getting. There's stuff you can do.
Yeah.
But for those big dudes,
yeah, they need some serious.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't. How are they getting their supplement? There's got to be a supplement shortage.
I bet you there is. Because I don't know if you know this, but and I might be wrong. So don't ever take anything I say as a fact. It's just an idea or a thought that was in my head, and I'm sharing it now with the world. But I believe that all creatine supplements come directly from China. And that's a staple to a lot of these supplements. So, and I think most of that stuff is made across the pond anyway. Yeah. It's cheaper, know? It's cheaper. And I walked into GNC probably, 2 months into this, and I just wanted some pre-workout. Yeah. No problem. They had everything on the shelves, so maybe it's not that big of a deal. But then again, who the hell's shopping at GNC?
Apparently nobody, because they're going out of business. I think Vitamin Shop's right behind them. But
I shouldn't be laughing. But that place, it's always been overpriced, and I can't believe anybody has ever shopped there.
Hey, man, you want these thermogenic pills?
What do they do?
Oh, they and I'm the GNC guy. Well, they burn fat while you're.
That's cool.
You're just sitting.
Really? I don't have to work out.
So I don't have to work out. No, you don't have to work out.
Well, what's this little asterisk right here next to that statement?
Oh,
what is that?
It may cause death, but we've never seen it.
What's the other asterisk? Because there's two.
Diarrhea.
Okay.
But that's how you lose the weight.
What's this about? What's this about not tested anywhere, and there's no way to validate what we've put on the label?
Right, you just could be ingesting anything.
Yeah,
you could be ingesting my mini blinds, but in capsule form. But and then you're like, all right, you get to the register, and they swipe that thing, and it's like $65.99 for 12 pills, and I'm like, whoa.
Well, hey, you could save $1 if you'll sign up.
If you sign up for the gold card, save $1.
5% interest.
And
6%.
I found myself, like you said, I found myself going, I'm good. I'll just go get some. I'll just go get some turmeric from
when I was a kid,
the store.
Yeah, when I was a kid, man, I would buy stuff like that because you believe it. You know, here it is. Yeah. Somebody says that it'll do this, so you spend just an ungodly amount of money on it. But as you get older and you realize that everything's bullshit, everything, no matter what industry you're looking into, and you understand sales and marketing, and you're like, okay, I don't need that. No. I'll go get my protein from peanut butter.
Yeah. I've seen, and you can, and I've seen, it's sad because I do see that. I was part of that generation, and then I see an upcoming generation, and they're just, so jacked, and they're putting all that stuff, and I'm thinking, in about 60 years, we're really going to start to see what we put in our bodies. Because we'll know that, we were putting, because we're just now finding out stuff that, we're just not talking about lead-based paint.
Not too far, so asbestos, that was a thing about, 20 years ago. They're like, oh, yeah, that's in everything, but
it's been there for 50, 100 years. I don't know. So forever. So you could be putting asbestos type material in your body and don't know it until you're 50 or 60 in your liver, or this issue or that issue. So
the most damaging thing that I've heard of recently is that all of the lab mice that we tested out this stuff on, whether it was cosmetic products or foods or pharmaceuticals, whatever, all of the rats came from one place. And these rats were engineered differently. And something about their telomeres being longer or shorter, and telomeres have something to do with cell division. Again, I don't know shit. But anyway, all these rats are coming from the same laboratory, and they're doctored. They're different. And they're actually more resilient than a regular biological creature. And the reason that we're using rats in the first place is because their immune system and their cell division, it's similar to the way ours works, right? And they're cheap, right? It's easy to run experiments on these things because they're cheap. But they're cheap and they reproduce quickly.
But they're resistant.
They're resistant. So, and it had something to do with telomeres, and I don't know what that is.
How come we can't be resistant? Because then that levels the playing field.
I think it's illegal.
Isn't it?
That's probably start jacking with my telomeres. Telomeres?
I think,
I need to look that up before I keep talking about it.
I thought.
Anyway, so to your point though, even the stuff that was FDA, I'm making air quotes here, FDA approved or laboratory tested, whatever, still might be killing us. We don't know.
Yeah.
And there are exact examples of that where they ran it through the full gamut of testing and then started giving it to the public. And I mean, killing people dead left and right. They're like, oh, well, let's stop giving people that because apparently we were wrong. Happens all the time.
When you were talking about those rats just a second ago, I had a thought. You were like, the rats and that they're testing all this stuff on. In my mind, I said, is he going to say that they formed a society of Democrats and Republicans and became...
You're talking about underground lizard people.
Yeah, my mind went. I was like, okay, so they like.
Here we go.
I'm like, where are we going with this, Andrew? And you're like, oh no, they just had telomeres, and I was like, oh, all right, let me pull that one back in.
It's far more normal.
Put it back in my pocket, but bring it back out and put it out there because that's me. So we've had some, for those of you who don't know, we've had some wild conversations.
Well, I would literally, I would stop what I was doing in the middle of the day. Leon worked in the back of the shop. We worked at an aircraft maintenance facility together, and he was the guy that would go in after I finished a task, and he'd make sure I didn't screw it up or leave a tool in some critical area. He's basically my boss. So he would come out and check my work. But anyway, I would stop in the middle of a project, and I'd go check on Leon because he'd be back there just who knows what he's doing. And sometimes he'd have something crazy to say, or I would, but we'd get into some of the most ridiculous conversations.
Way out there. Yeah. Way out there. It could be about space, aliens. It could be about anything. But, I think where you and I align is like nothing's off limits to actually analyze.
Yeah.
Some people are like, well, that's stupid. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that's great. But can we look at why that person maybe said that?
Yeah.
And where that comes from?
Yeah. And I've built on that over the years. I mean, as the world has gotten more and more ridiculous, it becomes more important to be an analytical thinker.
Yeah.
To think for yourself and not listen to what people are saying because it's critical now. It's bad.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, people aren't even allowed to make their own decisions or think for themselves. Yeah.
But, that's why a few weeks back I posted a thing about groupthink, and the whole premise of the groupthink thing, and I could be getting the shuttle wrong, but they found that when they went back and studied one of the space shuttles that blew up.
Like Apollo?
No, this was either, I want to say Challenger or I can't remember which one. But they found that there were too many like-minded people in the manufacturing and testing and quality, and it was like very much a yes sir. And anybody who said, hey, let's slow down,
get out,
let's look at this,
goodbye, Frank,
it was goodbye,
get that box.
And they found that from the smallest microchip all the way up to the assembly of that thing, that's what they believe led to that. And so I said, man, that's deep, because I believe that. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, hey, don't cut people off during this whole thing. Have a conversation.
For sure.
Try to understand their points. And it was like, some people were like, nah, I don't want to hear that point. And I said, to me, you're limiting yourself.
You realize we've monetized political correctness, right? I mean, we've made it profitable for people to only follow the agenda. And one step further, we've demonized anybody that steps out of the norm.
Right.
Which is just,
right.
I'm watching this, I'm sitting back and I'm looking at it and I'm going, unless this changes, we are completely screwed.
Yeah.
Because you've got scientists, doctors, professors at universities. If they stand,
they're all stupid.
And I'm going to get myself in trouble here
they're all
just
dumb.
Because this is on a public platform, and I'm just going to tell you a fact, but this will probably get me in trouble.
Uh-oh.
Professors at universities are having their tenure revoked because they're saying, actually, there are only 2 biological choices that we can go as far as gender is concerned. Removed. Get out. Yeah. Goodbye. Nope. You're a bigot, and we don't need you here.
I've seen it, I've seen it both ways, and both ways, like the way you said, and then other ways, and I think as a society, we don't have to ostracize each other, and we can disagree, but gosh, man, we don't have to be mean, mean about it. Like, just have a civil disagreement, but.
And to be clear, that's one example that I'm citing, but it's happening all over the place.
Oh yeah, all over different things. The mask, no mask thing.
That's a great one.
There's so many different dynamics, and people are just getting ostracized left and right. And I'm like, whoa, man, we don't have to be. But I think part of it is everybody's been under this quarantine, and they got pent up aggression.
That's true, but I mean, we were already
headed
far
that way.
down this path before quarantine started. But I think that the rioting might be a direct result of having people pent up in their homes and losing their jobs. And I mean, I think that's.
Have you watched? Do you watch Netflix documentaries?
I'm a Netflix junkie. Hi, my name is Andrew. This is my first meeting.
So I watched LA 92 the other day. I think I posted this on my Facebook.
Okay.
LA 92 is about the LA riots in 1992. Mm-hmm. And I lived in LA, in Inglewood, during that time.
You're 7 at the time, 8,
something like that.
Yeah,
Was it 8? Yeah, about 8. It's 7. So I was my son's age.
Yeah,
and I remember being at like my dad. We would have to go out, or we need to pick up the neighbor for something or whatever, and it was crazy.
Yeah.
It was lunacy. But going back as an adult and watching the documentary about the series of events that led up to how that riot started, if you close your eyes, we're living it again.
Yeah, for sure.
But on a nationwide scale. And so it's, to me, we haven't learned our lesson, and we go through the cycle. Now, some people say it's a political cycle. I just, we're doomed to keep repeating these things. And, for me, it's like, do I condone the rioting? No. But do I understand the frustration? Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
And so can we achieve balance there, that these people are upset? They're upset. They're angry. They've been pent in. Some of them have lost their jobs. Mm-hmm. They are in a bad economic way. It's frustrating. So it's like, you understand it, but then some people are just like, because maybe they've never been in that type of situation before or whatever, they just refuse to see it. And again, you don't have to condone it, but try to understand,
Yeah.
And some people are like, no, I don't understand. I'm like, okay, that's fine. That's the thing about me. If you don't want to understand it, I get that.
Yeah.
But I don't judge you for it.
Yeah.
We're really judgy. Judgy society, man.
Well, and I've broken it apart as many different ways as I can in my head, and I'm not glad that all of this destruction is happening, but I am glad that I'm of a sound state of mind enough and of an age where I understand what's going on, and I'm able to absorb this information, mm-hmm. because it has brought a lot of things into focus for me, having seen this. Mm-hmm. And you're absolutely right. One, you got every right to be upset. People need to be extremely upset. Yeah. Two, don't be so damn judgy. Like if you feel like you can't understand the situation or what mentality would put people in a place where they could act like that or demonstrate in that fashion, then you probably need to spend a little more time thinking on it. It's a lot of things going on that you could argue this 1,000 different ways. But what it boils down to is that we're lucky to even exist in this place, in this time, in this reality. Mm-hmm. And if everybody operated with more love and gratitude, we'd be fine.
You know what I find? I agree with what you're saying.
I had trouble putting that. I didn't quite.
No, I get it. No. And it boils down to that more. It's about more love, love thy neighbor, love. You know what I mean? But what I find is two things: pride and the uncomfortable conversation. Mm-hmm. People don't want to have because that's like, it's opening up the box, mm-hmm. and it's going to make me feel uncomfortable to have this conversation. So that's the first thing I have. And then the pride thing, it's where I could have been wrong this whole time about this.
And that's okay.
And I'm not turning back.
And that's the problem.
And so there's been people that come out and said, man, I've looked at this completely wrong for mm-hmm. like 5-6 years. And I love that because it's like, man, to me, that's growth, because you're able to go back and say, regardless of what you think, you're able to go back and say, I looked at some things wrong. Yeah. And publicly admit that. Yeah. To me, that's growth.
And that should be okay.
It should be fine. But it's like, for some people, it's just like, nope. No matter how much evidence I put in front of you or we see or whatever, I'm not going to look at that. But I will talk about this.
Well, and our society doesn't allow that right now, because you got people digging up dirt from somebody that's like, a 70-year-old man that said something back in the day that was acceptable and probably shouldn't have been. Yeah. But he said it back then when it was acceptable, so now we need to crucify him for it now. And it's like, he shouldn't have said that. He shouldn't have. But I don't know. There needs to be a little bit of, like you said, people need to be able to change their mind or, grow a little bit. And we should be proud of people that are able to grow and reach a deeper level of understanding, for sure. Because I know, like, for example, to your point, Black Lives Matter. When I first started hearing that, I'm like, that is, I don't know. I don't know what they're trying to get at there, but I don't know if I can really get behind that.
Right.
Just because it's, I'm hearing Black Lives Matter, and then immediately I'm hearing people going, well, all lives matter. And then I'm like, yeah, well, okay. See, that's probably why I was having a hesitation there. And then later on, I read I don't remember the guy's name. I don't know if he's a rapper or who it was, said, it's okay. He was talking about Black Lives Matter, and he said, that's like me showing up, kind of what I just said. He said, it's like showing up to a breast cancer awareness march.
Saying all cancer.
And he said, that's okay, fam, but right now we're marching for breast cancer, And it's childish that's the thing that got me to, so it got me back to, okay, you know what? That's right. And then I posted something up like that, and it said, I understand that all lives matter. Right now, we're talking about Black Lives Matter, and it's because we're at risk.
Right.
And I'm like, yep, I posted that up on my Facebook. And then 2-3 weeks later, the message of BLM started to change, and it splintered off. So now you got people that are BLM, like they're of the thought process that I had whenever I posted that up. Like, we're marching for BLM right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All lives matter, but we're talking about BLM right now. Yeah. So you got that group of people that are on board with that.
Right.
And then you got some people trying to make it what it's not. BLM is starting to, for some people, turn into this furious, aggressive thing where it's okay to find a random parked car on a street in a neighborhood you don't like and bash the windows out because BLM. Like, that's not what the message is.
It's not.
It's not what it was intended to be.
It's not. But there is a select group of people that will pull that message, the violence message, and they will completely use it to paint a narrative of a group that's trying to make positive change.
That's right.
That's peaceful. That's out there trying to politically lobby for these things. Some people don't, they don't believe it.
I think that the number of people that would disagree with BLM is very, very minimal, except for the people that are doing what you're talking about, where they're focusing on the violence and they're going, all right, no. But that's why it's important to take all the things and develop your own idea and stop listening to the damn news channels and just be a critical thinker. But
like, for me, it's an anomaly that you can't say, what's this about? Let me look into it. Mm-hmm. Let me see what the message is. Oh, I see. Oh, I'm going to get my facts off of a meme, and I'm going to push that. Those are truly, to me, the divisive people.
Yeah.
I've said it, and people take it how they want. I said, I saw somebody post, this is not the way you peacefully protest, right? Mm-hmm. And I started thinking, I said, oh, man, like 5 years ago, a guy kneeled down and America lost its mind. Mm-hmm. And it was disrespecting the troops and the flag. And I remember at that time, very impartial to everything, thinking, I don't feel disrespected.
Yeah.
I listened to his interview. Mm-hmm. He was talking about police brutality, this, that. And then I also followed him, and he was providing clothes for kids, sold all his Jordans to pay for, suits and ties and kids to know their rights and feeding them. And I watched the public completely crucify this man in his career.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, even if you don't agree with it, look at what he's doing for the community. Mm-hmm. And then I would see people go, he should just shut up and play football, or he should just shut up and put his money where his mouth is. And I'm like, well, he is.
If you're paying attention.
If you're looking, he is putting his money.
Well, I didn't know all that. I didn't know that Kaepernick was doing all that other stuff.
He's got a whole campaign called Know Your Rights.
Yeah.
Teaches to underprivileged kids. He sold the Jordan collection, did all this stuff.
That's awesome.
He took his money and he put it back into the community. And a lot of people talk about, LeBron James, and they're like, put your money where your mouth is. The man built an entire school for underprivileged kids.
Yeah.
Put your money where that's it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, you're right. Like, people aren't seeing they're just seeing the memes.
You need to be quiet. You're an athlete. You don't have a voice. You make millions of dollars. And I go, I said the other day to somebody, I said, you act as if they came from privilege. Right. Right now they have money, but some of these guys, that was their only way out, was to play basketball, and they were gifted enough to make it to college and just become a millionaire and just now get their foot in the door. That's like, the 1%.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody
how many other people didn't make it to that level?
Everybody else is back there. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, I just get so frustrated. But I realize that, and this is not to be like an age bias thing, but I realize that it's like the older you get, the more set in your ways you get about stuff. Mm-hmm. And those are the hardest people to try to, and even when you provide facts to people, they're like, nope, not going to accept that.
Do you feel like
that's fake news? And I'm like, what? What?
Read.
But it's right. Well, all news is slanted. Okay, so I went to 8 different sources here, and my argument is now minimized. So, all right.
But I like what you're talking about, because you're not talking about what CNN said or what Fox News said. You're going to his social media and you see what he's actually doing. That's an excellent way to make an opinion if you're going to be judging some individual rather than just off of memes. And because I saw what you're talking about. I saw it on both spectrums. People calling him a hero, and me not having looked at his social media. Whenever people would call him a hero, I'd just be like, I don't see what you're talking about. Right. But it makes sense why people would feel strongly about what he was doing with what you're talking about.
I think people considered him a hero, a hero only because he is talented, regardless of what anybody else says. Looking at this, he was talented. I didn't think he was the most talented quarterback, but certainly more talented than most.
Had a future,
and he literally lost his entire career. Yeah. And Eric Reed for a little bit was out of football. Nobody would touch him. He was like a cancer. Mm-hmm. But these people, again, we're going to go back. I thought it was peaceful, and I thought it was respectful. There was like the story of a soldier who told him, don't sit on the bench, instead take a knee. There was all this information out there. So I was like, why are we getting so mad about this? Yeah. And,
well, we're polarized, and everybody has to have an
opinion.
You
have to have a side. Yeah. You have to have a side. And so it really...
You get to pick one of two.
So there's a faction of people that are like, I see it now. Mm-hmm. I see what was going. Yeah. This was we kind of went the wrong way. In these large corporations, whatever. But then there's a group of people that are still like, no. Well, that doesn't count.
And those are the ones reacting to the far swing of the pendulum. I mean, you got people that are at this point, Kaepernick, what was that, 6 years ago?
Yeah, it was right around the election. It was around election time.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
Okay, so more like 4
or 5, or 5, maybe 6. Yeah.
Now the pendulum from that has swung so far to the other direction that we are now literally defunding police departments in certain cities.
See, I think
so that the people that you're talking about that are just at a 10 about the whole thing in the other direction, that's what they're seeing. They're seeing the police departments being defunded. They're seeing these videos probably propagated best on Fox News of people tearing down stores and protesting like that. But I'll tell you right now, I've talked to people that were actually at the protest, and I've done podcast episodes with them. But the way the protests were handled here in Fort Worth, and I can only speak for the city that I'm in, it's nothing like the way it was being portrayed on the news. No. People are saying that it was one way or the other. I'm here to tell you, the police officers, the protesters, everybody that was involved with that, it was far more controlled. There was much more love and gratitude involved in what actually happened than what is being portrayed on the news. Yeah. So the people that you're talking about that are just like, no, that's what they're seeing. Yeah. And it's because they're watching the narratives that are being pushed by both networks, CNN and Fox News. F them both. Stop watching the news. Make your own opinion. But just incredible stuff. You got officers in complete SWAT garb, rifles out. I don't know if the rifles are out, but I saw a guy with a baton. And anyway, there's one officer. He's on the ground in the middle of all this, taking a knee.
Yeah.
And so Kaepernick, that's where that started.
Yeah, that's where it started.
Right?
Yeah.
So.
And I got to say, for the most part, I think we did have a little squabble on the West 7th Bridge. But for the most part, it was super peaceful and super inclusive around here. It was crazy. Because, I have a friend who either led a protest or was part. He live streamed. Mm-hmm. Man, and it was probably a few miles from here. The amount of horn honks and support from all the different races.
And what city is this?
It was here. It was he was across Heritage Trace, so
technically Fort Worth, probably
Keller, Fort Worth area, and there was about maybe 20, 30 of them with signs, and the amount of support was crazy. And I said, you know what, you're right, because if I look at the news, it's one thing, but when I look on his live stream, I see a community that wants to rally around, and even on this Facebook page for our community, it can be divisive at times, but it was all about, hey, let's commute together, or let's have a community together, let's have a discussion. Zoom meetings were put on. People were super a part of it. Yeah. And so if we can do it in this little microcosm of Fort Worth, we should be able to do it nationwide.
And I think people are starting to listen to these podcasts a lot more. Yeah. These conversations right here, these are what's important. I mean, okay, we've been talking for an hour and a half. We've got a lot of stuff that's been covered. We're trying to keep it light, and two friends that haven't seen each other in years, and we're catching up. But we're also exchanging ideas. We're talking about some shit that most people do not want to talk about, because you'll
the uncomfortable conversation.
You'll get a finger shook in your face.
Well, probably will get a finger.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Especially 5 years down the road, somebody's going to go back, listen to this, and comment on it probably, and be like, "You were an idiot." Oh yeah, well, I tried to tell you at the beginning I'm an idiot. So, but anyway, I think that news has gotten to the point where it's a money machine, and they're going to do whatever they can to make themselves relevant. Otherwise, they'll go the way of the newspaper and the libraries, because it was a phenomenon probably 20 years ago. People started to watch the Comedy Central fake news channels to get their news. Yeah. There was something talking about our generation was getting more news from those programs than the actual news.
The big corporations.
Yeah. And because it was enjoyable, and we didn't want to listen to a bunch of old gray-haired shitheads talking about stuff we didn't care. Yeah. So we started paying attention to Comedy Central, and that caught people's attention. Anyway, fast forward to now, people are starting to turn to things like podcasts and, So I think this is where people need to go and get their news. They need to find people that they trust to help sort through the information. And I'm certainly not the person. And I in episode 1, I tell people, this is not a political podcast. It will not be a political podcast. Yeah. And it's not, and it will never be. But these are just conversations. Yeah. So
I get it.
I think that's where it's at, man. I think this is important.
I agree with you. I mean, sometimes I have to go get my news source from other things.
For sure.
Like you said. And a lot of it is education. And I can't say I learned a lot in college. I did learn some stuff. But the one thing I learned that I took away from after finishing my MBA was research. Yeah. Because, in school, not all the time can you just flop some BS out there. Mm-hmm. Because there were professors I had that would be like, it'd come back a terrible grade, and they were like, this is all surface. Where is the matter? Where is the, and so I really had to go back and start studying. And I think for me, I fell in love with the process of research. Mm-hmm. And so I try to fall in love with whatever I'm researching to make sure that I'm approaching it with the veracity and, the correct intent to get the entire truth or whatever. And even if I have that truth and it's wrong or I missed a point, I try to make it a point to say, well, I was wrong about that.
Absolutely.
Or, yeah, you know, but then it's, and I tell my wife this all the time, if you're wrong and you say on Facebook, if you say, you're right, I was wrong about that. God, it takes the fire out of people.
Yeah, it does.
And then they're like, well,
caveat to that, you should never have any serious conversation on Facebook ever. End of story.
I had this entire paragraph that I just dictated
out. Delete all this
that I was
shit.
going to destroy this guy with, you know. So I've had to have, you know, speaking of Facebook, I've had to have some back channel conversations with people.
Yeah.
As it gets heated. Mm-hmm. And, you know, some people have reached out to me and I've reached out to them. I've even gone and grabbed a beer with somebody that I had a confrontation with, and something about the interaction and the face-to-face changed the dynamic.
Absolutely.
And he was like, dude, I see it. I see what you're saying. Uh-huh. And I was like, I went into it with a mind like, I shouldn't expect him to change, but I should try to show him how I feel about these things.
Yeah.
And man, I went in and I covered like 2 or 3 points, and he was like, I see it.
Yeah.
And I was like, he's like, I never looked at it like that before. And so something about having those in-persons, that's why I say don't cut people off. Go if you can't squash it on Facebook, if you can't, have a phone call.
Which I've done too.
Go to go somewhere. Yeah. Because I believe the only way we can progress as a society is to actually have meaningful conversation. Yeah. I've put that on my Facebook so many times. Meaningful conversation. Leave your feelings at the door. Let me tell you about my experiences. Mm-hmm. Let me, you tell me about your experiences. Now let's come together. And you know what I find? People with kids, it's easier to put things in perspective for them. Really? Not say anything about, if you don't have kids or not.
How dare you?
But like, for instance, I said, I asked them, I said, you have girls. Do you think at some point in your life, your girls will not get a job position or not make it in life because they're girls? And he said, yeah. And I said, now imagine that, and let's throw a color on top of it and we can't pretend like the color doesn't matter to some people.
Right.
And he said, man, I said, I have to tell my kids they got to work double hard because they may encounter those barriers in life. And he was like,
I like the way you word that too. I like the way you word that. I kind of tripped over my tongue. Yeah. Because not everybody is like that.
No.
But you may run into these assholes.
Yeah. And I tell them, I couldn't put rose-colored glasses on them and be like, I had to have the conversation. Yeah. There may be a person that judges you for your skin. Yeah. And when I told him, like people judge people for their gender. We're just getting through these glass ceiling type, talks in the corporate world. And I'm like, there may be a time where you may be the best candidate. And you're like, what happened? And I'm not saying it's that, but these people exist. Mm-hmm. Some are hidden, some are outright. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so it's important to develop allies by educating and having conversations. Mm-hmm. We shouldn't polarize the people that don't understand our situation. We should sit down, have a talk, explain it, and think about how to put it in terms that they would understand. Yeah. Then pull it back full circle. Mm-hmm. And that's the only way. I've made great progress with friends that way. Some people have deleted me. Well, I know who you are. That's okay.
You know what? By having these conversations with people that aren't willing to hear it any other way, you're doing two things. You're opening a door to a person that might have been closed-minded. You might get through. Right. You might be able to make yourself heard to this person that has an opinion that they just can't be budged from. You might. Yeah. But two, and this will happen every time, if you're talking to somebody like that, you're sharpening your skills. You're making you're putting a tool in your toolbox that you can use down the road to talk to people like that. I've noticed that I've gotten better at conveying my message to people because I will not unfriend somebody on Facebook. First of all, like I'm going to keep saying this, do not have serious conversations on Facebook, Twitter, any of that. You can't because there's too much lost in translation.
Context.
And it just never works out. But if you can get them on the phone and talk to them, like you're saying, to your point, and I'm really encouraged. I like hearing that you're talking to your kids about these things because I really worry about that myself, not having children.
Yeah.
I look out into what I'm seeing in front of me, and I'm thinking a large portion of this is how kids are being brought up. Now, if you're having these meaningful conversations with your kids at a young age, they're going to remember that.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact in my heart that the ones that are going to excel in this world are people that had parents that took time to explain some of these things to them, you know, and some of us had to learn the rough way, but you know, you got a big head start if you understand the world at an earlier age.
I was really encouraged at the onset of this, like,
you talking about COVID or the riots?
The riots, or the protests.
Let's call it protest. Yeah.
The amount of young people I saw engaged of every race, you know, because I firmly believe the way you think, like you talked about earlier, and you're in these group settings with your family, but since the 60s till now, we've started integrating more, and these kids don't really know a segregated society, so they come up together, you know, and you have two friends, you know, in the suburbs or wherever, they're coming up together, encountering the same things, and then they see something that it's like, I never viewed my friend that way.
Right.
Why is somebody viewing my friend that way? And so I think you're seeing that a lot more with the younger generation. They're like, nah, we're going out. I'm going to support you on this, and we're going to go out here and do it. And so for me, that's been awesome to see. But then, you know, I get the old folks that are like, you know, nah, the young generation's stupid. They're dumb. They don't know what they're asking for. They just are a bunch of hippie, liberal, communists, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, these are the people that are going to be running the world, and this is how we want to talk about them.
I'm sorry, did you grow up in the 60s?
I told a guy that. I'm like, he's like, no, the 60s were nothing like this.
Oh,
I watched the other day, I watched a documentary, which they'll call fake news, but about the 60s, and I was like, this looks very similar. Yeah. Like chaos.
Real rough.
60 wasn't like that. And I was like,
open a book. Yeah. It was bad. It was really bad.
Dude, think about this. This entire time right now, it feels like another 60s because we're going to space again in America. We've got civil rights issues. We've got economic issues, all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, man, if you close your eyes, it's like,
Doc Brown busts down the door. What year is it?
Right. So to me, I'm like, man, did you watch the SpaceX thing?
Which one?
The recent one where they put the two in the Crew Dragon and sent them up to the space station.
I missed the live one, but yeah, I'm aware of it.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah, two NASA astronauts. For those of you that don't know, two NASA astronauts got in a private company's spaceship shuttle, metal tube that goes into space.
Yeah.
They got into this thing. It wasn't built by the United States government. It was built by a private company.
Yep.
And NASA, which is a government entity, put two people employed by NASA into this privately ran company's rocket.
Yeah.
They shot them into outer space, and it docked with the International Space Station.
Yeah.
That is the first time in history
amazing.
that's happened, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
In
our history, I suppose, because we were going on, NASA they developed, and then for the years that they didn't, we were going up on other countries.
But that was also government funded. Russia's government was sending American troops, astronauts into space.
Yeah.
So this is the first time that a private company has sent government employed astronauts into space.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. That's the first.
Yeah.
Now, SpaceX has been transporting government satellites into space for about, 4 or 5 years now?
It's longer. I think it's longer. I don't...
Maybe a full decade?
Yeah, something like
SpaceX
that.
feels brand new to me, so I'm just amazed at all of this.
Yeah, they're not... See, man, they're not... It's just... They didn't get the publicity because their rockets were blowing up initially. And, in the beginning.
Yeah, they got that worked out.
But Elon, man, hired some top talent, and they thought outside the box, and they developed something that is sustainable.
Yeah.
And so if you didn't see it live, it was pretty amazing. Mm-hmm. And then they got up into space, and I noticed, so these guys it didn't look like they have any controls. Everything was touchscreen. It's like, we went from steam gauges to they're checking telemetry, and they're like, boop.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that looks right. Boop. And I was like, man, that is so
no levers, cool. No knobs.
Nothing that I could see.
Yeah.
I tried showing that to my kids.
I mean, this is the guy that made the Tesla, so.
I like the Tesla.
Have you been in one?
No, but hopefully I can own one. Yeah, at some time
one day.
In the future.
Yeah, for sure. Leon, I'm gonna get us out of here, man. We've been talking forever. And I am not complaining. This has been a good conversation, but I know you got a family and stuff to do, and I am starting to feel kind of guilty. So, I'm excited that you're starting up a new company, or that you already have started one, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that progresses. Let me know what I can do. And what the Fort Worth Roots members can do to, not members, the people that listen to this show, whoever they are. We love you. Thank you for being here. But
I appreciate you coming through.
Yeah, let me know. Anytime I need to share something on social media, hit me up.
I will.
And one more time with the website.
shopgwdistrict.com, at GWDistrict for both Facebook and Instagram.
And just so you know, I decided at the beginning, or more accurately, I decided at the end of 2019 that I was not going to drink for a year. I wanted to see if I could do it.
Yeah.
I've been hitting the sauce pretty hard, right?
Of course.
So I decided I was going to just kind of taper it off a bit. So at the end of the year, when I'm done with that mess, we should do this again and have drinks. Thank you, man.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it. And thank you for doing this. Fort Worth Roots listeners, thank y'all for being here. And we will have Leon again at a later date. All right.
Thank you.
Out of here. See ya.
Shop GW.
Thank y'all for checking out another episode of Fort Worth Roots. I would talk to myself in a dark room with my nose on a wall, but it's way more fun whenever people are listening. So thank you. Thank you for being here. You guys know we have a YouTube channel, right? You can check out these recordings on YouTube. Just go to YouTube, type in Fort Worth Roots, and bam-o, there you are. All the videos that we've done. Here's a great place to leave comments. You leave comments, I'll read them off at the end of the show. Another great idea that I had a couple episodes ago, you can record your voice on your phone through your recording app and send an MP3 file to media@fortworthroots.com, and I'll incorporate that in the show. Thank y'all for being here. See you next time.